No problem. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Wait. Let me just.
Started. We're busy with introductions.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Great. So we're just going around the room with busy with introductions. Our reason for being in class today. I'll start with you.
Yeah, my name is Leslie Hudson, and I love the whole experience of mindfulness. I try and live like it. It's interesting to see how I got here and just have a moment of peace.
Great.
I'm Michelle. I joined last week, so I feel like I follow this through to the end of the sleep.
Great. Thank you, Michelle.
Just really want peace.
Great. Good.
I'm mother-in-law. Honestly, it's just a stressful work day today. Because like I needed a break away from like for like some time.
Great.
To clear my mind.
Good reason to be here. Thank you.
My name is Lorraine. I also wanted to break from thinking about work
Yeah.
and just have a moment to relax.
Great.
Hi, I'm Lulama, known as Lou. I am here because I want to get back to mindful meditation again. Because I started 2020 around COVID, and where I was at, my former employee offered to mindful meditation. So I took the journey, also took courses, and then I stopped last year. I don't know why, but I'm like, let me go.
Great.
Yeah.
Good to have you here. Mika?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's very lovely to join you all the way from Cape Town today. Um, I joined your class last week and I found it very valuable. Thank you very much. And some of your nuggets of wisdom I could already share with some of my friends and family. So thank you very much. I'm happy to join you. Thank you. Thanks for setting up a virtual class for me.
Absolute pleasure. Anyone can join virtually next time, but it's always nice to be in the same room. Before we come in, Sadoji. Hi, are you joining us for mindfulness?
Yes.
Okay, great. Grab a seat. I'm going to keep it. Can I just get a name?
My name is Hope.
Hope, nice to be with you today. I'm going to keep it moving because we kind of are starting, and I'd like to kind of.
Sorry.
No problem, please. You're most welcome. So, just a few points to cover so you all have a sense of direction in terms of where we're going. We've done our check-ins. That's how the class starts. It's just checking in with each other, who's in the room, and just creating that place to interact. I'm going to give you a talk. It's about 15 minutes. And again, it's an introductory to mindfulness course. So it's very basic, fundamental lessons that I'll be sharing with you. And today's class is about breath. So we'll get into that. And then you'll have an opportunity to practice what you've learned. That'll be about 10 minutes. I'll guide you through that so you don't have to worry about having to sit here and you don't know what to do. And then we will have a question and answer session. So you'll be able to bring any of your thoughts, your inquiries to me, and I'll try and field them the best I can. But generally, with mindfulness, as the question arises and you're aware about what's happening in your body, the answer also arises. So don't be surprised when you want to ask something or say something, or during the meditation, you go, I must talk about this. And it just doesn't happen because often your body answers itself. Come in. Go. Just a couple of community guidelines to help keep the space safe and sacred for everybody. Um, we'll be doing a lot of sharing. It's hard work, so it's important that we kind of take care of each other. I'm just going to give you two guidelines on how we'll do that. Confidentiality. So anything that you experience and you share, you're more than welcome. Get out of here, share about it, your personal experience. But in terms of other participants in the class, please could you keep their experiences confidential? So don't share specifics and don't share names, just so that everybody feels comfortable and can bring that to the table. And the second and last community guidelines is no giving of unsolicited advice. So it's or cross talking. So when someone is sharing something, and it's part of a mindfulness practice actually, and something in you wants to tell them how to feel, be, or think about their situation, that's actually a point where you should turn the attention to yourself and monitor this feeling that you're having inside, this energy that has come up for you. Generally, what you'll find is that the person is talking about something in your life that you don't have peace with. So it's a really helpful, really good. Sometimes you do want to give advice just because it's there, but most of the time, especially when there's a lot of energy around it, it's because you don't necessarily have peace in your life about what the person is going through. Related to that, no cross talking. When someone is sharing, let them have their say and finish what they're saying. Because again, that energy of like wanting to jump in, contribute, rescue is your stuff that you need to look into. It's an invitation actually to look at, oh my word, I actually want to jump in and share while they're busy and having their time. And also what it does for the speaker, if they're sharing, knowing that nobody's going to interrupt them. A lot of us weren't listened to growing up at work in relationships. It really builds the muscle of having a voice and how to be with your voice once you develop it, or even sometimes finding a voice. So when might happen, may not happen, but if I call you forward to share, if you feel uncomfortable, don't do it. You can absolutely decline. But if you're wanting to exercise the muscle of stepping forward, please feel free to do so. It's a safe space. That's what we're trying to create. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. These lessons do kind of build on each other, but they're very foundational. So even if you weren't at last week's class, you'll be able to pick up where we kind of left off. And generally, I like to start, again, today's introductory to breath, and I'd like to start with a little poem. While I'm reading it, just think about the words, be aware of the emotions that are going inside of you, and then we'll get into the crux of the lesson. It's entitled, My Brain and Heart Got Divorced. My brain and heart got divorced a decade ago over who was to blame about how big of a mess I had become. Eventually, they couldn't be in the same room with each other. Sorry about that, guys. Now my head and heart share custody of me. I stay with my brain during the week, and my heart gets me on weekends. They never speak to each other. Instead, they give me the same notes to pass to each other every week. And their notes they send to one another always say the same thing. This is all your fault. On Sundays, my heart complains about how my head has let me down in the past. And on Wednesday, my head lists all the times my heart has screwed things up for me in the future. They blame each other for the state of my life. There's been a lot of yelling and crying. So lately, I've been spending a lot of time with my gut, who serves as my unofficial therapist. Most nights, I sneak out of the window in my ribcage and slide down my spine and collapse on my gut's plush leather chair that's always open for me. And I just sit, and I sit, and I sit until the sun comes up. Last night, my gut asked if I was having a hard time being caught between my heart and my head. I nodded. I said I don't know if I could live with either of them anymore. My heart is always so sad about something that happened yesterday, while my head is always worried about something that may happen tomorrow, I lamented. My gut squeezed my hand. I just can't live with my mistakes of the past or my anxiety about the future, I sighed. My gut smiled and said, in that case, you should go stay with your lungs for a while. I was confused. The look on my face gave it away. If you're exhausted about your heart's obsession with the fixed past, and your mind's focus of the uncertain future, your lungs are the perfect place for you. There's no yesterday in your lungs. There's no tomorrow there either. There's only now. There's only inhale. There's only exhale. There's only this moment. There's only breath. And in that breath, you can rest while your heart and your head try and work things out in their relationship. This morning, while my brain was busy reading tea leaves and while my heart was staring at old photographs, I packed a little bag and walked to the door of my lungs. Before I could even knock, she opened the door with a smile, and a gust of air embraced me as she said, "What took you so long?" That is a little pose by John Rudel, and I hope it lands for you because that is what the breath is for us. If you have a look at your life in any kind of moments where you felt alive and inspired and joyous and you just felt completely alive, if you have a look at every one of those moments, there's one common denominator. You were there for them. You were present. And what the breath does for us, because you can't breathe for tomorrow and you can't breathe for yesterday, it keeps us in the here and the now. Even as you're sitting here, notice your breath. Are you breathing shallow? Are you breathing heavy? We don't often take the time to just be with what is in terms of our breath, who is our constant companion. The training that we're doing in this course is mindfulness training, and it has two components. The first component is being present, so it's presence, being here now. And the second, which is equally important, is to approach with a loving, caring heart. So we're not going in there bashing things in. We're going, okay, what's happening right now? So that's being mindful about what's happening right now. And the position we take is one of caring deeply about what's happening right now. Some of us find it difficult to tap into a sense of caring for ourselves specifically. It's weird. It's just how life has conditioned us. You know, I think I might have said it last week, but we're born for greatness and then programmed for failure. So a way that you can tap, come in, grab a seat. A way that you can tap into kindness or compassion as you approach yourself is to think about either a child that you're close with and you love very much, or a pet that was just your dog or your cat that you feel a sense of love for. And just, can you tap into that feeling now? Is anyone, are you guys able to get in touch with that? So when you're approaching yourself, that's what we're tapping into. While we're present, we're also caring. We're not going in there to fix anything. We're just going to see what's happening. And why do we do it? Why do we want to go in there and see what's happening inside? Because the promises are plenty. And this is, this is a practice. It's in Vipassana meditation, actually, which is called insight meditation. But it's also backed by science. A lot of psychiatrists, psychologists, neurologists have looked at our breathing and the state of being present and being awake. So a lot of the stuff that I'm talking to you about might be framed a certain way, but there are a lot of teachers and scholars who can back this up scientifically. But the reason we practice, there are many. But what you'll find is that you get a sense of freedom when you're able to, with courage, walk into the space that is your life. You get courage. Something in you develops as you keep entering what you're living with and having a look around. A sense of courage comes up. We develop an open heart. I'm not saying that this is going to make you sensitive and now you're going to walk around like, oh, I'm so sensitive, I can't. It actually makes you fierce. You can love becomes a weapon. Weapon is a really harsh word, but it becomes like a way of being in the world because you learn how to use it in an empowered way. And another thing that happens when you start to be with what's happening in your life right now is that you tap into the wisdom of your body. And a lot of us have left our bodies. the wisdom in our body, just as a caveat, how it gets there, is that we learn a lot of stuff, we keep it in our heads, but our brain is consistently learning and picking up things that are happening around us. So when something resonates with you and has taught you something in life, it actually gets stored in your parasympathetic nervous system. It gets stored in your nervous system. So even if you can't put words to it, your body feels it. There's a book called The Body Keeps a Score, which is really interesting reading if you'd like to delve more into that. So the wisdom of the body all of a sudden becomes available to us. If at any point any of this gets overwhelming, you have every invitation in the world to just step back. And by stepping back, you just kind of back off to whatever you're feeling, experiencing, even open your eyes if your eyes are closed while I lead you through the practice. And yeah, that's how it is. When we practice, we get back into our bodies. So, as I said, the anchor I'm teaching today is the breath, how to be present in this moment using your breath. Before I lead you into our practice, I'd like to point out a couple of places where you can feel the breath. You can feel it in rise and fall of the chest. The reason I'm telling you this is because some people can't feel their breath. It's just something that happens. You know. You can feel the breath through the nostril, and if you focus on it, you can even feel a change in temperature. Is it cold when it gets in and warm when it gets out? It's often a sensation. You can feel it in the different nostrils. Are you breathing more deeply out of one nostril than you are out of the other? The spot of the lip. So when I invite you to go back to the breath, because I promise you your mind will wander. Your mind will go, oh, we're sitting, ah, and it's shameless. It'll go everywhere. It's a thing. But just as we breathe without not voluntarily, like we breathe naturally, our heart beats naturally, our saliva glands work naturally, the mind thinks. It's just another organ, and how it works is that it thinks. So it's not when you sit and listen to your breath, my mind gets busy. You actually notice that your mind is busy. Things to expect while you are experiencing your breath are distractions. That busy mind will be busy. That's what happens. Sometimes it does keep quiet, and it's wonderful. And you'll find the more you practice, the quieter the mind becomes. A lot of people come to meditation because they want to calm down, have peace. And the more you're able to look at your mind thinking and not be the mind thinking, that's how the peace comes. Is this making sense? We're all tracking together. Okay. Another thing you might encounter is pain. It's not that meditation makes my body sore. It's actually meditation helps me see the pain that's there. So you might be sitting and going, what is this ache on my back? And notice it for the first time. Because again, we've learned to leave our bodies in modern society. You might get bored. It's a completely normal experience when you sit. Often it's because your body's reaction of keeping you away from things that you don't necessarily or don't feel you're able to confront yet. That's what might happen. Your body actually gets a bored sensation. And sometimes you might get sleepy. That's also completely normal when you're sitting and being curious about the things that are happening in your life. And restlessness. You'll try and sit still, but all of a sudden you just can't stay. And this practice is a practice that's helping us to stay in the here and now for all those wonderful benefits that I said you would experience. But the best way to teach it is to experience it for yourself and see if it works for you. So, as I was saying, as all this stuff comes up, the real training is when you notice that it's come up and you turn around and come back to your breath. That's where the magic is. So let it wander, whatever. But when you go, my mind's wandering, or I'm stuck on some thought, turn it back and go to the breath. Do I feel it in my chest? Do I feel it in my nose? Can I feel my whole body breathing? That's the training. It's to be here now with what is happening here and now. And what happens is that you become as you learn these practices, you have something called an awakened state, and it's just a way of being in the world. There's an author, Richard Schultz, who writes about internal family systems, and they've studied this extensively. And they've come up with some traits on how you are when you are fully awakened and fully alive in your own life and your own body. One of them is creativity. You'll find that you have inspirations of creativity when you start to learn how to be present in the moment, compassionate. Your heart becomes compassionate. I'm not saying empathetic because there's a difference. You don't, it means that, yes, you may be able to feel what other people are feeling, which is generally what empathy is, but compassion is then to meet it with a loving kindness, which is actually, like I said earlier, love is a fierce action. So you don't get overwhelmed by what's happening behind you, but you can stand in your love and go, ah, this too. That's what compassion is. You feel a sense of connectedness with yourself and those around you. There's a sense of calm for sure. You will be calm. There's curiosity. You kind of go, ah, I wonder what this is. It's less judgment, more curious. There's a confidence that arises in you, and there's also courage. You're all of a sudden able to have those difficult conversations in a compassionate way. And instead of blaming, you become curious about the other person's stance. Huh, what makes you think that? But you train to be, the invitation is to train to be that way, which is something that can happen right now in the present moment. Okay, so it generally fosters a sense of sacred presence and being at home in our own bodies, which are always with us, present every day. And with that, how is everybody feeling? We're still here. I'd like to take you through plus minus 10 minutes of a breathing meditation. So feel free to just get comfortable in your body, have a look around in the room. There is nothing that's going to get you. It's a safe space. There's no bombs, there's no wild animals. You can all see each other. Nothing's going to come from behind. So feel free in your immediate environment first. And then, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes, or else you can just cast them down softly. Take a couple of deep breaths to arrive into your body. Feel the sensation of the body, like maybe feel your hands and your feet. It's a good signal that you are in your body. Feel what the breath feels like. Get curious about where you feel it. Is it the rise and fall of the chest? Is it your nostrils? Is it the back of your throat? Is there swirling and a tingling at the back of your throat? Or is it your whole body? Your mind will wander, just bring it back to the breath. It's perfectly normal. We're not controlling our breath. Be curious on whether you're controlling or trying to control the breath. And if it still wants to be controlled or still feels controlled, have a look at a controlled breath. How does that feel? If you get distracted and your mind wanders, bring it back gently with kindness. Stay here in the now, using your breath. If you touch into anything that feels sensitive, you're very welcome to just step back in your mind's eye, come back to the breath. Even relax your body as you take in this breath. Let your body be heavy as you take in this breath. Invite yourself to enjoy the breathing. And if your mind has wandered, gently, with all the sweetness in the world, bring it back to this breath. And this breath. Feel the sweetness of the breath. Bring it back to this breath. We're learning to stay. It's a muscle that we're developing. It's bicep curls for the brain. If your mind wanders, bring it back. Notice this breath. And this breath. Feel the sensation of the breath. Does it feel strained, or is it a pleasant sensation? Notice this breath. Bring your attention back to this breath. How does it feel in the body? The training is to stay with this breath. We've got just 2 more minutes. Really get deep into it. Take in this breath. If your mind has wandered, very gently, like a young child, bring it back. A young child that you love, bring it back. And as we come to the end of our practice, picture the area 30 centimeters above your head. and take 3 deep breaths from that area straight into your body at your own count. In your own time, bringing the sensation back to your body. Bring your attention back into the building, back into this room, back onto the chair, back into your body. And in your own time, when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. When you're ready. Welcome back, everybody. Did some of us notice the boredom, the restlessness? Was it there? Sleepiness? How are we feeling? Do we still need to go? Okay, go ahead. So that's what it feels to come back and to be in our bodies. And it takes some curiosity. But I am curious to hear what your experiences have been like. Do I have a volunteer?
Because I experienced quite a lot. Right? In the first few seconds, I realized that I had like some striking pain in my ear, which now that I was exposed to in this climate, I realized it's been quite a lot, right? And like as you kept narrating the things come back and showing me some of them, I managed to do it, but that was for a few seconds. But my brain touched onto a very painful memory that I had repressed. And I struggled with coming back from that. But when I came back, I literally had to just focus on the breathing, which helped. But now I'm just worried about how all of that happened in just a few minutes.
Yeah. Can I repeat back what I heard you say to me?
No problem.
Yeah. So you sat here curious about the exercise. As soon as I started talking, seconds in, all of a sudden you're all over. Like you pull back, all of a sudden there's a pain that's been there with you all along, but you notice it. And then there's this difficulty that starts pulling your attention. But you're somehow able to bring it back to the room. It's more difficult, but you bring it back. And that's the beauty with mindfulness, is that it helps you navigate your internal landscape, and it also builds up what we call resources that help you, when you're ready, to go to those moments and kind of be with them as an adult, as someone who knows, who's awake and who cares. And that's actually how we get out of here. It's kind of, you're able to. But sometimes it's not always that you can do it in a mindfulness class. Sometimes you do need to have the qualified resources of a trained psychologist, therapist, etc., or even depending on the severity of it, right? You might have to speak to whoever it is in your circles who can support you in that way. Sometimes it's a conversation with a friend. You'll find that, look, I might have repressed this, but this conversation needs to be had. Mindfulness cultivates courage, teaches you how to be in yourself and embodied and present and meet the world with courage. So those things do come up, and we learn how to respond, not react, not to get angry, but to go, the anger's here, and feel it as a sensation in our body. Are you good?
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else wants to be said?
No.
Okay, cool. Was that helpful for everyone else in the room? Yes.
I felt something similar with the memory coming back, and I also felt pain in my back. But besides that, I just wanted to find out, is it only negative memories that would pop up, or would we get positive something good that's happened that
Yeah.
you would remember.
Definitely the good stuff comes up.
And you still must bring yourself back.
Not
Or
all.
can't you focus on good?
Remember we're doing an introductory course. So yes, that. But let me feel that for you. So it's at the introduction of the main lesson is to stay with what is here, where we are. So actually focusing on a bad memory is averting, you're pushing away what's happening right now. Wanting to focus on a good memory is clinging. I want that, which is taking you away from what's happening right now. So what the breathing does, when you're mindful of the breath, you start to unlock your own internal wisdom right here, right now. So when you are, and you'll get like brilliant insights, and it'll be like, oh my gosh, I must remember this. And chances are you will, but that's kind of your life force, your aliveness being unlocked. And mindfulness does that for us. But in terms of the difficult emotions, and maybe I do tend to, they're not the majority of the exercise, but because we live in such a traumatized world, it's naive to think that they don't come up, and they're the ones that have the biggest impact on us. And we're learning to be courageous in these exercises. We're learning to bring back and re-own our own freedom. And generally, our life force gets trapped in the negative experiences. So you'll find that the more courageous and the more equipped you are to go back and meet that experience with a lot more love, tenderness, as you learn these practices. I'm not saying dive in right now. It's always with a thick share of kindness, tenderness, love that you develop as you learn to stay right here, right now. Does that answer you? Does it satisfy your answer, your question? Anything else? Okay, good. Was that helpful for everyone else? Anything online?
Yeah, it was very helpful, very, very peaceful. Must admit, I felt quite sleepy.
Good job, you were warned.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We were warned.
Yeah.
But loved the poem, and you reminding us to focus on that specific breath every time. It does help the wandering mind.
Great, great, great. Moiketsi, anything from you?
Hi. So I'm dealing with something that's like current. So I struggled a bit with focusing, but I think I don't know if it's Mike or Mike. I'm sorry to mispronounce your name. It helps to the constant reminder or the constant voice that says, "Come back to this voice. Focus on this voice." So yeah, I'll keep trying to practice that. Fortunately, with these smartwatches, you can time the breathing. So I'm hoping to improve as well on that.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of reaching out to community. There's people who are practicing quite consistently all the time. So if you're feeling like these practices are good and safe and empowering for you, plug into that. I'm also available if you want to chat to me for half an hour or so. Happy to do that, facilitate any difficulties that are coming up for you, any clarity that you would like, if there's any, yeah, sort of conversation. So happy to do that too. Anything from you?
No, actually, but then her question actually also helped me to, because sometimes I tend to maybe cling to the good memories or good things that are coming, but then now I have learned that sometimes you need to come back and focus on the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And clinging is not in itself a bad thing, right? We like to, in fact, it's a great training because we have so, again, it goes back to the kind of society we live in. So it's good to train your body to feel good. We don't have to look for many excuses to feel bad. But when you get a memory, but use it as a meditation. Don't like want to go back to that memory. Just kind of go, okay, this is what goodness feels like. This I'd love to stay, and then drop the story. Like actually, it's an in love feeling. Oh, this person makes me feel so special. Then drop them and focus on the feeling in your body. That's training your nervous system to actually feel good in the moment. That could serve you in meditation. Does that make sense? Yes.
There were just a few things I wanted to say. This is how I like to. I'm most comfortable living my life.
Yeah.
And one of the things that's really important for me is trusting what I know. Not what I know, or I've learned, but what I know inside. And when you do this, it brings you back to that knowing. So our mind and our hearts are, and the environment is clutching us, and voices of our mothers and our bosses and everybody saying, no, that doesn't work, you're not good enough to do that. But you know something, and it helps you get in touch with that. I know, I know it, and it gives you that confidence. It just brings you back to, yeah, I know it. I can do this, I know. So that's why I find it so useful.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, the word inspire
Mm.
comes from two Latin words, and spiritus is either a breath, your human breath, or you can think of it as a religious spirit. But it, inspire is about drawing in that breath. So you can inspire yourself. You don't have to have some great person inspire you. Just by breathing, you can inspire yourself. And it's actually a beautiful way of living.
It really is.
Yeah. Thank you.
What a pleasure.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how I've got wellness groups.
Exactly.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Lee, anything coming up for you?
Yeah, this is just a reminder to just set up self-care. We're just sitting here and just going my mind because we go through a lot of things and forget about ourselves. So just, yeah, just a reminder to check it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is really the biggest of the training. It's yes, the presence, but the kindness. And often we've got to relearn the kindness. Yeah. Anything from the gentleman?
Yeah, I think I was in the present,
Yeah.
but I just thought this, it's just noise coming from there. So I couldn't hear myself
Yeah.
think, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just noise coming. So I just did. Yeah, but I tried to breathe and be with myself because it's just a lot of noise in the world.
You're right.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I thought it was just
Yeah.
that's all.
Thank you for that. There's a lot of noise in the world, you're right. And there are a lot of modalities that bring us to the present moment. And and some people, noise is actually kind of their thing, so they like to listen to music to meditate. And that's also perfectly fine. This is not the be all and end all of how meditation should be done. You asked about meditation music last time, I think. It's perfectly fine. Whatever brings you back and helps you awaken, maybe is a safe word to use, but to be fully embodied, because we all leave for whatever reason, which we'll explore next week in a little bit more detail when we're mindful about the lesson will be on our bodies, why we leave and why we should come back and how to come back most importantly. But just to, yeah, a teaser. That's what's happening next week. Any thoughts? Nothing at all. Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to maybe, is anything else coming up for anyone else? Any final things that want to be said, want to be expressed? Good, that's fine. I would like to read you a version of the Serenity Prayer that I came across a couple of weeks ago, and it resonated to me, it resonated with me very deeply. I'm pretty sure we've all heard the Serenity Prayer, and when I read it, you'll see which part was changed. It says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know that it's me. It's me that I can change. And because we're so connected as humans, just one change from one person who all of a sudden says, I can't carry on like this. Life should and can be better. And to your that guttural feeling of like, we can live this better. I don't have to be in constant fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, which is like just the anxiety that we develop over time. When you change, you find that the world around you, the people that we interact with all the time, start to respond differently, and you start to feel differently. And it's almost a ripple effect that kind of revolutionizes to you first, and then the rest of your life. Does this sound true? Does this ring true? Try it out. That's the main thing, is take some time out. Sit in your quiet time and try it out. Anything else coming up for people?
So, if I remember correctly, so people says something about
Granting me the wisdom to know the difference.
to know the difference.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But I think the important part when we change religion is the will. And I think we take to forget that yes, the world comes with a lot of ways and a lot of people which they touch it and it's okay. But when well, personally, I'm really tend to favor really into the lens and struggle with coming back. You know, so I think we just need to focus on ourselves because at the end of the day, it's you that matters. It's your health that matters. It's about you, you know.
And you can't give from an empty cup.
Definitely.
Yeah. So these are practices that fill up your cup, they free you. And in fact, you start to embody that. And because we're also interconnected, people go, there's something about that person. Like when I'm with them, I feel like lighter. You know, because you start to transmit it. You can't not, because we're made out of these mirror neurons. When we meet a person, we can feel what they're feeling. And if it's a liberating presence, we like kind of, there's a yoga teacher. Well, it's a story I heard related, but it was people sitting in a yoga class. And this teacher was so embodied that when they would walk around the room, people would actually automatically get into the right posture. I mean, for me, it's like mind blowing because I'm a practitioner and a teacher. But like, it's just that kind of embodiment is so useful, and to know that it's possible is empowering for me. And also, no pressure. You know, there's always this subtle aggression to self improvement. This is not that. This is a loving, curious kind of what is happening, and can I be with it? And retraining how to be with it. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody. You're more than welcome to hang around, have a conversation, or else we will see each other next week. This course carries on until the end of August, and then we'll see how the next iteration will come. I would encourage you to join. If you'd like to leave your email address because you're not around and want to join online, I can send you an email link to that. And otherwise, have a really good rest of the week. Be kind to yourselves. Be gentle to yourselves. It's not a weak thing that you're doing. It's actually a really deeply empowering way of being in the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Mika. We'll catch you next week. Take care. Thanks, Makriti. Bye. Bye.